Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker, who last week faced harsh criticism from President Obama for signing an anti-union bill into law, and then cited the president's words to argue he may well be the frontrunner for the GOP presidential nomination. Well, that Scott Walker is now getting the attention that comes with frontrunner status, and he is crumbling in the face of it. Last month, in an instantly infamous comment, Walker asserted his success in battling Wisconsin labor unions was evidence he could stand up to ISIS. But forget ISIS. On 3 separate occasions this month, Scott Walker has shown he can't even stand up to politicos and pig farmers in Iowa, whose first in the nation caucuses he appears desperate to win. First, Walker flip-flopped on immigration, repudiating his previous support for comprehensive immigration reform and putting himself in ideological alignment with Iowa Representative Steve King, who staunchly opposes immigration reform and once said of children of illegal immigrants, quote, they've got calves the size of cantaloupes because they're hauling 75 pounds of marijuana across the desert. Walker was confronted about his immigration flip-flop on Fox.
But you said you supported it.
And my view has changed. I'm flat out saying it. Candidates can say that. Sometimes they don't. I'm saying
So you've changed from 2013?
Absolutely.
1 week later, Walker went to Iowa to flip-flop yet again, dropping his previous opposition to ethanol mandates and offering a new stance that is, as the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel politely put it, well-suited to a state covered in cornfields. Walker had previously dismissed the ethanol mandate as, quote, a big government mandate. But that was before he was courting Iowa farmers. And now Walker is even sacrificing his staff to keep Iowa happy. Liz Mayer, veteran Republican strategist, someone I've had on the show, was tapped on Monday to lead Walker's online communication efforts. But during a Steve King-hosted event in January, while a speaker was mocking immigration activists, Mayer had tweeted, quote, Iowa is once again embarrassing itself and the GOP. She also tweeted, quote, the sooner we remove Iowa's front-running status, the better off American politics and policy will be. In another tweet, Mayer had pointed out that many Iowans are dependent on the very agricultural subsidies Walker had suddenly learned to love. All of this did not go over well with Jeff Kaufman, the man who happens to be the Iowa Republican Party chairman, a man who told the New York Times that Walker should fire Mayer, saying, quote, I find her to be shallow and ignorant, and adding that if I was Governor Walker, I'd send her walking papers. When the Iowa GOP speaks, apparently Scott Walker listens. By last night, less than a day after she had joined the campaign, Mayer had resigned, saying in a statement, quote, the tone of some of my tweets concerning Iowa was at odds with that which Governor Walker has always encouraged in political discourse. Scott Walker says if he can't take on unions in Wisconsin, he could take on ISIS. But Walker's pandering in Iowa has conservative columnist Philip Klein drawing a different conclusion. If Scott Walker can't stand up to Iowans, he said, how can he stand up to the Islamic State? Joining me now, Matt Walsh, editor-in-chief of Reason magazine. Well, what do you make of all this?
It is, it's embarrassing is what it is, frankly. I mean, Liz Mayer is someone, she's more libertarian than your average Republican. But here's the thing, so is every single GOP strategist under the age of 40. They are more libertarian than your average Republican. She wants to get rid of, she wrote a piece for Reason in 2007 saying that she wanted to get rid of farm subsidies, right? And these kinds of things.
I met her at some confab in D.C. years ago, and she immediately struck up a conversation about farm subsidies. And let's just be clear, this is from a conservative principle standpoint, yes. Right? The idea is that ethanol is basically a wasteful government mandate that has been put in there by rent-seeking large corporations that benefit handsomely from it and use their lobbying dollars to keep the mandate flowing so that they can make money off it. It's inefficient. It's not good for the environment.
It's bad for the environment, and this is exactly what Scott Walker used to say. Here's the problem with Scott Walker and all of this stuff. Yes, he is a semi-front-runner at this point. Right now, there's a strong anti-establishment mood on the right, and it hasn't expressed itself yet in presidential nominees. It didn't in 2012. Mitt Romney was not the anti-establishment candidate. John McCain certainly was not the anti-establishment candidate. So one thing that the anti-establishment candidate wants to see, the electorate, they want to see someone who's going to stand up to corporatism very strongly and who's also just going to be an authentic type of person. This move is 0 for 2 on both of these fronts. He's flip-flopping. You saw him with on Fox. I mean, explaining his
yes,
change on immigration is incredibly inauthentic. The ethanol is even worse. And this move with Liz Mayer just shows kind of the same thing.
To me, what's dangerous here is allowing certain interests in Iowa to dictate what stakes you put in the ground, particularly Steve King on immigration.
Yeah, and Steve King is I think, a very nightmarish politician. Everybody named King who's in the Congress, I think, qualifies there. But this whole act with Liz Mayer is, I mean, Breitbart ran this pretty awful story, and that if Andrew Breitbart was alive, he'd probably be ashamed of, trying to say that Liz Mayer is an awful person because she likes gay marriage and that she's in favor of comprehensive immigration reform and these kinds of things. It's different groups trying to set out and sort of police the movement, trying to police
exactly right.
Scott Walker. Well, you know, Michelle Malkin came out today and said this is a great example of us trying to vet Scott Walker. And I do agree that there is a vetting process, imperfectly and kind of ugly as it is, but at some point it's people who are trying to push these candidates into this position in which they can't move.